Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today I did a little thing with my tier list and I basically created another tab for only champions that are available as 7 stars. Now I left everybody's tiers exactly the same as they were because I do think that even though these champions are available currently at the higher power levels, relatively to each other speaking, they should remain in the same tiers. And I did think it would be also interesting to see, how tiers are represented per classes. But that being said, if I'm going to be moving any of those champions on this list for 6 stars, I will be also moving them for 7 stars. However, for all of the 7-star champions that are available right now, and for the ones that will be available in the near future, I will be adding my own personal notes, as in, like, for instance, that champion is perfectly viable and duped, whether it's a dual-purpose champion, offensive or defensive champion, and how much dupe matters in what instances, and obviously also which stat focus I recommend placing on these champions. And a spoiler alert, for virtually everything on defense, you largely want block penetration placed, and for virtually everything on offense, you want crit rate placed, with a few notable exceptions. For instance, the Rocket Raccoon, you probably want block proficiency in order to retain more of your health. Similarly to Wiccan, wherever he is, you probably want physical resist because he does have negative physical resistance. But for the vast majority of the champions, you largely want just that extra crit rate. All that being said, here we are, and that is how the classes look like. We can see that Science class and Mutant class largely kind of got the better end of the deal, both having 2 champions from meta tier making their way to the 7-star pool, and then obviously Science class also has Hulk and Joe Fixit, which both, you could kind of argue to place them in meta tier as far as like battlegrounds are concerned. And also, one thing that I had wrong in my previous tier list was OG Spidey. I kind of had forgotten about his buff, but his buff is actually growing on me, and I do think it's better than it was. He can be defensively viable as well if awakened, and I do think his awakened ability is extremely important. But here we are, so we might as well kind of quickly break down the base notes. For Bishop, again, dual-purpose champion, no need for dupe. Domino, need high sig for defense, dual-purpose champion if duped. And again, stat focus. Then for Overseer, needs at least a dupe. High sig is beneficial for more damage. In general, is a dual purpose champion. Titania, usable on Awaken, need dupe and high sig to unlock full potential, but even unduped, obviously she's extremely capable. Primarily an attacker in this current Battlegrounds meta, a very solid defender. We have Falcon, offensive champion, useless defensively, viable, unduped. Ideally does need the dupe. Again, stat focus, and so on and so forth. Obviously, we have a special note for Venom the Duck. No one cares, you shouldn't even be looking at this garbage, because that is the absolute truth. Obviously, we do know that Shuri buff is coming soon, which is probably gonna move her either in frequently useful tier or meta tier. We'll see how she integrates herself. Again, another reminder that this tier list is, well, first and foremost, this is my personal opinion mixed with current game relevance and trends. And also, it is primarily offensive tier list. If we were gonna value champions' defensive potential, then Korg, Shuri, Mangog, Terax, Sasquatch would all move significantly higher. Additionally, some points to mention is Sasquatch, even unawakened, at a rank 1 7-star level, is arguably better defender than rank 4 6-star at a high sig. And if I had an unduped Sasquatch 7-star, I'd probably be putting that on defense just because he has even bigger base health pool. The awakened ability isn't that important for him on defense, especially because typically whenever opponent is going to use somebody to beat down the Sasquatch, they will have answer to that regen anyway, so that is not going to change that much for the champion. And yeah, perfectly viable and duped given stat bonus. 1 second. So, and primarily a defensive tank, slight offensive uses, again, stat focus, everything else. So I do hope that there are no technical issues. I do think that you guys can see all of these notes, because you should. Mark the result and hide discussion. So yeah, I hope that every single one of you can see these notes. If not, I'm going to need to figure something else out. Otherwise, this is like the most convenient way to kind of give decent amount of extra information about the champion and kind of my opinion without making these spreadsheets look cluttered. So let me know if everything is going smoothly with you in regards of accessing and seeing these notes. And if it is, then awesome. And also, you can leave a message in the comment section asking what else do you want added for each individual champion. Obviously, because this is just the initial and the first draft, I will try my best to keep this up to date. I know I need to update the original tier list as well at some point this month, but I do want Adam Warlock to come out before I start talking about, even in a minor details of initial placements of Adam Warlock and Moondragon. But overall, here we can see that I think by the looks of it, seems that Cosmic got the shortest end of the stick. Overall, we can see that they have 2 in the occasionally useful tier, and then frequently useful has 3. Offensively speaking, again, because defensively, Mystics are by far the best ones, I think, in between Chavez, Dragonman, Sasquatch, and Mangog. And yeah, I think overall Science and Mutant got the best champions as 7-star pool. I think Tech and Skills somewhere in the middle. And yeah, I think Cosmic is probably on the softer side there. Right. So I do not want to keep you guys too much longer. Again, because rest of the things you will be able to hopefully see here. And Rocket Raccoon, obviously, Nuke War Machine, I think, is kind of underestimated champion. I think we're going to see more of him. Mysterio ideally does need dupe, still viable dupe, unduped, especially, offensively. Defensively, I think he will be having a harder time, but with increased stats, who knows. Iron Man Finty was shame his buff was as weak as it was. Hawkeye, I think, at least needs a single dupe. Mantis, damage is there unduped, so there are some uses. Again, for Elsa Bloodstone, primarily offensive champion only, defensive value is only the double-edged wrap. Classic Spider-Man, I actually managed to awaken yesterday. I was not too far off my next 7-star crystal. I didn't want to record a separate opening for a single crystal. And I actually managed to awaken my 5D Classic. So there might be some testing that I do with this guy now, because that buff is kind of slightly starting to grow on me. Spider-Man, again, dupe is quite important, but has her use. And dupe defensively still viable. And dupe, dual-purpose champion. Wong, I didn't want to rant too much about Wong, but unduped Wong has virtually no real unduped home for him. Even duped Wong, and dupe does help him ramp up quicker. He's kind of like a bit too slow in most cases. I'd say he's primarily a defender if you have him unduped. Sasquatch, I think an amazing pull. Sauron, Gambit has been showing his value more and more, especially if you have him at SIG 20. He has a massive prestige at the low SIG levels and low rank levels. Storm Pyramid X, obviously Gamora, just a Nuki champion. So yeah, I do encourage all of you to go through the notes and let me know what should be changed about them. If you think you have a very good case for any of these champions to move tiers, because again, remember that even occasionally useful champions still have their occasional uses, and this is primarily offensive. And there's nothing wrong with being in like a useful tier, where, as we can see, majority of the 7-stars actually ended up being from that or frequently useful tier. And all of these champions do have purpose to be in game and will have situations when they are absolutely amazing for. And I do like that we got like virtually nothing from this side, we got virtually nothing from this side, and it's actually very, very balanced in terms of my tier list. That's why, I can also kind of put a bit of a clap on my own back in a sense that if this kind of matches to what Kabam is also thinking, because Kabam is also, drawing champions largely from that middle pack, and we can see that, there is slight amount of kind of like significantly better champions, some champions that offensively are arguably worse than others, and then vast majority are here as in like the middle of the pack champions. So I did find it kind of somewhat refreshing that my own personal tier list does kind of reflect what I think Kabam did with the 7-star pool, where they didn't add in any of the, mega wanted super top of the game champions. They didn't add any of the completely useless champions. And virtually everything is in between with, relatively few champions from the top of whatever's remaining, relatively few champions that are close to the bottom of the game. And again, vast majority living here in the middle, in between frequently useful and useful tier. So I'll take it as a good sign that my tier list is relatively on point for most part. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I will catch you guys soon. Obviously, the link to this spreadsheet in the video description. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about